Another couple observations I just want to make sure y'all are getting is when I went to the Vancouver Victoria Street branch, the little lady I spoke to there says ideally you should speak to the branch where you purchase the draft. Okay, so obviously I can't do that because I'm in a different province and I never had any account open anywhere. So the fact that this manager here at the West Kelowna branch didn't even email or reply to my email, which I sent before, I'm going to verify that, before I opened my account, an account on the Scotiabank in Vancouver at the Commercial and Broadway branch. The fact that they don't even reply to that shows something's up, So, like I said, I'm being bounced from place to place to place. I contacted the branch that I signed a bond of indemnity with, and they never got back to me, and I spent all day ringing around the rosy on the phone, waiting for people transferring and waiting for call center people trying to get through the branch, voicemailing a bunch of people, and none of them replied. No emails replied there. And that was before I opened an account, long before I opened an account, a couple weeks or something. So the Scotiabank is on top of this, and they're playing games, they're covering up. That's my sense. And if I don't uncover this and justice gets brought out, then God will deal with it in the end. And I'm walking through this in the fear of God. I don't believe in slandering people that aren't guilty. It's not just about me. These banks are crooked, and people need to know what they're like, and society's got to deal with them, like the Icelanders did. They're hurting us. They're jacking up the cost of housing, and all kinds of people are homeless. Even professionals in San Francisco can't afford a place. There's no vacancy, and the price is too high for people who make $200,000. Professionals who make $200,000 a year can't afford a place to live because of the jacking up of prices of real estate. And a huge portion of that is due to the lenders, the banks. I remember I was looking at building a log cabin, and I used to read log books by a guy by the name of B. Allen Mackey in Vancouver. And he made a comment about homesteading, that the banks and the government all shut that whole avenue down because they want people to be processed through their banks, to be locked in to interest generating loans that the bank can rake in dough on. Everybody's got to be on their dole. Just pause this for a second. So it's reasonable for me to continue the draft process with the West Kelowna. It was reasonable for me to continue on with them, the lost draft process, because I had not yet opened an account with the Vancouver. One of the reasons is because I had not yet opened an account at the Vancouver Commercial and Broadway branch. And also, the lady did not respond to my email. I'm sure she could check the dates, and I will check the dates. It was probably a couple days later when I sent the email to Christine. Maybe 3 or 4 days, actually. Probably. So, Also, the account that I opened at Vancouver, Broadway and commercial, was to simply to purchase a draft so we could see it on videotape how it's done. And I've verified that a number of times, at least 3 times on video, and 2 other times, or there's two times I did the purchase of a draft on video. One was a draft I did to Toronto Dominion, which was not cached. And the original one that I purchased, it was not recorded or anything. I just have to telling you about it verbally. So the hockey player census text message tribe was at this West Kelowna situation, just the way everything sort of, you look at it, there are various things going on. The way the manager came out and intercepted the conversation, asking what's wrong. You know, she had some premonition or preconceived notion of who I was. Why would she interrupt a conversation with somebody like that? There's other indicators there which I'm not going to divulge at this point, but I just sensed, I'm not dumb, right? We know anyway how corrupt men are. They want to keep the king of the castle position. They don't care if they're wearing a swastika on their arm. Justice doesn't matter when you're king of the castle. You just rake in the dough. Well, that's not the way it worked with 1776. We kicked the butt of the king out of his throne, and we the people will do it again. So you guys that want to play king of the castle and you want to be tyrants, you don't care about justice, just remember, God's not on your side. So it's totally reasonable for me to continue on the draft investigation process with the West Kelowna branch. And it was unreasonable for them to not respond to me by email. And it's reasonable for me to conduct an investigation to look after my money. It's common sense. Any person would do that. Because it's reasonable for me to conduct an investigation, it was reasonable for me to go into the downtown Scotiabank in Vancouver. And I learned some good things there, how the commercial and Broadway branch is not doing it, looking after my interests either. Why would they make detailed notes about my questions about a draft like that so that the very next day, the downtown branch won't even deposit money in my account, just simply for me asking questions about drafts? Like, that's totally absurd. What reason could there be for that? Just look at the videos and you'll see yourself what was discussed. And it's also reasonable for me to go into the West Kelowna branch today to ask Christine why she did not reply to my email that I sent over a week ago. And I'm thankful that the manager actually stuck her nose into it to get her 2 bits on the whole situation. And I'm able to expose some more big bank buffaloing. She's implying that it needs to be dealt with at one branch. Okay, that's your position, big bank buffaloers, but we got a dispute going on here. I don't agree with you. You got my $10,000 and I want it back. Not only that, I want the amount of gold that I was going to purchase, plus damages for all the time that you've cost me in this whole escapade. I have good reason for not agreeing with that manager at West Kelowna that it needs to be dealt with at one branch. I don't agree with her. It's not just because I want to be an troublemaker. It's $10,000, and these branches have not been dealing with me properly. just like I was telling you, again, I'm sorry to be repetitive, but I'm trying to get it all down here as I'm driving and thinking. The commercial Broadway Vancouver branch shut down my account for no good reason. And then the downtown Vancouver branch asked me to leave for no good reason because I had a GoPro on. That's when she told me to leave. And now here at the West Kelowna branch, she didn't reply to my email for a long time, which should have been done. She acknowledged that herself. And she's making comments about, she interrupted my conversation with the teller, which is indicative of a number of things. And this whole situation when I walked in there wasn't totally copacetic, normal. And then she implies that I'm doing wrong because I go to 3 branches, and she brought up all kinds of details about my history that I was asking questions about this and that. Like, she had all preconceived ideas. She was ready to go there. Loaded. Locked and loaded. Her locked and loaded state is, I just popped in there. I didn't make any appointment or announce to anybody that I was coming by. This is a real important point, too, about the West Kelowna branch. They asked me to fill out a bond of indemnity, which I had already filled out with another branch a long time ago. So I asked them why they wanted me to fill out a bond of indemnity. And by the way, regarding the bond indemnity, just so you understand the magnitude of that thing, if you don't sign it, this is how heavy consequential it is in the bank's mind. You don't get a whole $10,000 you don't get back if you don't sign this piece of paper. That's very indicative of how consequential that bond of indemnity is to the banks. Huge. Therefore, it is all the more incumbent upon them to tell us up front before we purchase a draft that they're going to require us to sign this bond of indemnity before they give us back our money, up to $10,000 and even beyond that. I don't know how big a drafts you can make.